Hi, this is Landon Bryce from thoughtcast.com, and I want to talk with you a little bit about the new autism numbers from the CDC. Very interesting. I assume you've heard that the new general prevalence rate is 1 out of 88 children in the United States currently in the way that they did the study, and in the group that they had has an autism spectrum disorder. Now, I think, to me, the most disturbing thing about the study is that I don't find any reference at all. And if there is one and I missed it, please let me know. But I don't find any reference to the 2009 study in England, which found that about 1% of adults have an autism spectrum disorder. There's reference to the South Korean study, which found a rate of about 2.5%. But as far as I know, there's really only been one study on autism prevalence in the adult population, and that's the British study. And people do love to leave it out, just like they love to leave out a lot of the stuff that comes out of Canada that suggests that a lot of the stuff that we're doing with autism doesn't work very well. And I think in the absence of better data, it's intellectually dishonest not to say that this is in fact in line with the information we have about what the population is in adults in general. So in other words, I don't think that there is significant reason to believe that there is a tremendous change in the number of autistic people. What I do think there appears to be a change in, and most of this video is speculation, so please don't take it terribly seriously. What I do think there appears to be a change in is the amount of very seriously disabling autism. I think that there are a lot of people like me who are on the borderline of being disabled, but who might or might not be recognized as being so. And I think that a lot of us who are in that space, that condition, have been pushed in the last couple of decades into the very visibly disabled group. And I think no one knows what the reasons for that are at this point in time. I think there are a lot of people who are investigating environmental causes having to do with things like being close to highways, air pollution. You know that vaccines were very carefully investigated because it was a really good theory. I mean, the thing that people forget now when they talk about vaccines is that initially it was a very promising idea. It's just that it didn't happen to be true, and a lot of people with a lot of significant traits of autism got very attached to the idea and have found it very difficult to let go of. It's kind of a tragic thing, but people forget now that vaccines were not a terrible theory. It just turned out that wasn't the case. When I talk about autism not being a disease, that's because that's true. That's not because I like when Autism Speak started. When the groups that sort of developed into Autism Speak started, it was reasonable to think that maybe there was an infectious component, a real obvious environmental component. I tend to think that we're not looking enough at the information environment. And it's not that I think that this is necessarily a better hypothesis than an environmental toxin, something that may be leaching out of some chemicals that we're using that we weren't using before. But I think it is significant that autism is a condition that has to do with processing information, and the amount of information that people are expected to process since my childhood has grown exponentially. We had 3 channels. We had 10 records, and we weren't deprived, We had library cards. I think, the amount of loud flashiness that people are expected to deal with is something that I would like people to investigate. And again, it's not that I think that's necessarily the most likely. I just think it is a likely candidate that is ignored. But as I say, what to me appears to be happening is that we appear to have a larger group of people who are very visibly disabled, and but I think the rate of actual, the genetic component to autism, at least, the makeup of the person itself before dealing with the environment, really does appear to be fairly consistent. Now, one more thing about general prevalence. There's tremendous variation from one state and one testing center to another. And what that indicates is that we're just not at all consistent in how we are evaluating autism at this point in time. Although I have grown to share more of the concerns that people are having about the changes in autism diagnosis for the next diagnostic manual, DSM-5, people do need to know that the situation now in terms of diagnosis of autism is intolerably bad. It's intolerably bad. I want to deal with some of the other issues in other videos. So thanks for watching, and that's all for now.